live. Submit to the High Council here on World Class Bullshitters. I'm your host, Jeff Hicks, and with me tonight is my co-host, Caffeinated Wolf.
What is going on, Jeff? Great to be back. What is up, chat? Hail to the High Council.
Hail to you too, my friend. Now, folks, like we always start this show out, let's say hail to those who have joined us live. So, hail to Joseph Bienowicz. Hail to Dr. Coffin Nails. Hail to Miss Ninja Julian, Clone Geek. P-Money, what is up? We have Adama. We also have our friend Alexander the Great. We have D. Pensac, Shrebels08, Valiant Renegade, and more, including Darian217. So, folks, welcome to the show. Like we always say, if I say hi to everyone, I'll be spending the entire show, and that's cool. We'll bring it back. Good morning, pop culture. Now, folks, tonight is going to be a two-man crew because we have a lot of topics that we want to cover, and next week we'll promote this show early. We're going to be joined by Fatal J and possibly some more members of the Dark Council. So be on the lookout for that show. But tonight, folks, is nothing to scoff at. We have some big news, some big announcements, and some big topics to cover. First off, let's talk about the housekeeping stuff. So, Andrew, how you been, man?
Dude, I've been pretty awesome. I just got back from a 5-day trip visiting my parents over in South Carolina, as well as our family corgi. It was a great time getting to spend a handful of days with them, away from just the work environment, though I did still do some work. It's a nice thing about being able to do remote work for my job nowadays. I don't have to worry about that. But it's just been really good. It's been a really great December so far, and 2023 is shaping up to be a massive year. I'm stoked as all hell.
Same on this end, dude. December's been great. 2023 plans are popping, as I told you off air, the stuff I'm working on, so that's exciting. Oh, yeah. And, folks, we're going to be talking about some exciting stuff right now. Thank you. So, I won't bury the...
Hi, Jesse!
Andrew says hi, Jesse. He says hey. She says hey back. Now, folks, let me get on camera real quick. There we go. Hi, everybody. Jeff Hicks here.
I always forget that you have a camera.
I know. I forget that I have a face. It's just like, hey, I thought it was a voice myself. Folks, they have arrived. There we go.
Oh, look at that.
That
is beautiful.
Like I told you guys, this is a big book. This is a big book.
That's just about the size of your typical like print, like your large scale print.
This is the same size. I mean, I'm just gonna pull up one of the boxes. There's a lot of them, but yeah, here we go. There's a whole box of these things. They're here. I'm excited. But yeah, this is the same size as a piece of paper that I would get for comic book art. It's the exact same 11 by 17. Here's a book that I would get with these the big Jim Lee stuff. And this book's not too much smaller than that. So, folks, I just wanted to share that with you. Hot from the printer, hot from the presses, it's here. So be on the lookout. I'll make some more announcements. We'll take care of business, and everything will be on its way to you. So, folks, go to titsandart.com if you don't want to miss out, because all the cool kids got one. And, well, what do we got? More cool kids out there. So we'll be talking more about that on the show. We'll go more into depth in it on the World Class Bullshitters podcast this Thursday night. That is the hub for all things Jeff Hicks, whatever you want to call our show. It's all going to be there. But tonight we have some fandom-related topics that we need to get to because everything in the landscape of pop culture keeps changing, sometimes for the better, many times for the worse, and now for the interesting, because we keep talking about DC films. There's a narrative, a thread that has run through a lot of these shows, or we keep talking about DC. Well, DC is not in the best of place. Since we've last met, folks, they've canceled Wonder Woman. There's been all kinds of stuff with James Gunn on Twitter. I have a video coming out about that later in the week. And now Patty Jenkins, the lady, Wonder Woman's mother, has a press release talking about all of this stuff. Oh, and one more thing. The Rock lied. Apparently the numbers he put out were bullshit. People are calling him out. The press is calling him out. It's a weird time to be alive. If you're a superhero fan, folks, the narrative around the films are more interesting than the films because these DC Snyderverse films have sucked. It's nice to be able to say it without people coming after you. But nothing. I was there since the beginning. Andrew, so are you, man.
you don't have to preach to me, man. I'm not even the choir. I'm the freaking holy hosts when it comes to that.
I just want good comic book films. For as much as I've been down on the MCU, and folks, you can hear all of our reviews of these films and such on the channel, I gotta have hope in something. And so having hope for DC, it's enough right now. It's like there's hope for another great Batman film. There's hope for a great Superman film. Like there is look, you and I are around the same age. There has not been a great Superman film in our lifetime. There have been
No.
good Superman actors. There have been many men have worn the cape and done it with justice. Dean Cain was a wonderful Superman. Henry Cavill's great. I don't hate Brandon Routh. I know a lot of people want to throw him under the bus, but he's redeemed himself in his TV work, and the guy on TV is okay too. Like Taylor Hoechlin, I think is his name.
Taylor Hoechlin. I'll be completely transparent. I haven't watched Superman and Lois. I've heard that at least the first season was quite solid. I just had no interest in giving any views to the CW at this point. And honestly, that's well deserved, right? Like they have done nothing to earn my viewership in the last several years. And I do have to say though, that he does not look the part to me. There's just something about him that doesn't look like Clark Kent to me, that doesn't look like Superman. I think that despite a lot of these issues that we see in the CW today started with this show, however, they still did do some things well. Tom Welling could have been a great Superman as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
From Smallville. There was some good stuff in that show, and there was also a lot of stuff. If you look back in retrospect, because we weren't thinking about the culture war stuff back in the early 2000s when that show was first airing. But if you go back and retrospectively watch it through the lens of what we see now, you're like, holy shit, a lot of this stuff started here.
It did. And I'm so glad to like think back to the time before the culture war and geek culture and comic culture and stuff was separate. The culture war really wasn't a thing back then. It's a newer, more recent event, which we've been a part of the entire time, folks. But not everything needs to be so politically motivated from the people that make this stuff. And so, I do miss those days. I think I know what it is with the new guy that doesn't work for his Superman appearance. Let me pull up a picture of his face. It's the chin in the nose. He's got too narrow of a face. Like he does not. Superman's head is square.
He doesn't have that chiseled superhero jaw.
No. Everyone else did. Henry Cavill is the epitome of like what you draw when you're taught how to do artwork. You start with your egg, you lay it out, you do your division lines and stuff, and you create the superhero. He is that. There's a handful of people that look like that. The people on TV kind of just look like the people on TV. If this guy, I don't know, if they got a different actor with a broader chin, I guess he would look more like Superman, but close enough, I guess, right? It's not like Lizzo's playing Superman.
Oh, I mean, yes. Look, yes, you could do worse if we're gonna set the bar that low. But he doesn't look a thing like him. Again, with just one of the million issues I had with the Snyderverse, you don't have the spit curl. He's got his hair how I usually had it when my hair was shorter. My hair's growing out right now, so it's not like that. But this is a thing that we see with a lot of these, especially these CW shows, where they grab people whose bodies and builds are just like everyday people. Maybe they're kind of fit, but that's like the best that you'll get. Whereas these superheroes are supposed to be idealistic. They're supposed to be like peak human form. They're supposed to be something that we aspire to. It's not about, because you'll see people on freaking Twitter cry all day long. Oh, it's impossible. Where are her organs? Or, men's bodies don't do that. No shit, Sherlock. It's Superman. Kryptonians don't also exist, all right? But the whole deal is young boys are supposed to see that and be like, wow, I want to be like that. And I know a lot of people who got into great shape because of growing up with these superheroes. That's what it's supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about idealism, not a one-to-one. I'm not supposed to look at Superman and be like, oh, hey, he looks just like me. No, if he looks just like me, then he looks like a regular guy, and that's not Superman.
If Superman looked like me, he would be larger than everybody, but it's just like that guy's can lift a car. Okay, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
Um, no, I like when I always look at the DC heroes as aspirational, and the Marvel characters are relatable. Iron Man is just a guy in a suit. I know the
Mhm.
suit and his brain is the wonderful part, but the physical appearance of Tony Stark doesn't necessarily need to be buff. You have a more modern rendition where he's not. I think that
Yeah.
works. I think that's more believable than the 1970s and 80s when Bob Layton's drawing it, early 80s, Tony Stark with the big muscles. It's like, I get it for the superhero physique stuff, but he's also
Yeah.
covered in a suit of armor, and he's a billionaire. He doesn't have all this time to work out. He's a businessman. So Robert Downey Jr.'s interpretation I thought was perfect.
I
But
think it
guys
works, and it's not like he's out of shape either.
oh
Like
no,
you watch what was it? I'm either thinking Age of Ultron or I'm thinking Infinity War right now. It's been a while since I've watched either movie, but where they're at Clint's house and he and Steve start going back and forth chopping wood, and you can see that even though Tony's gonna ultimately get gassed before Steve because he doesn't have super soldier serum in him, he's still in really good physical shape. Like, but he doesn't need to be huge. He's a guy in a suit, but you still expect him to be able to handle himself.
yeah, and that's why, like in Iron Man 3, I thought it was important, even though I don't like that movie that much, it's important to show him in that Florida compound with a gun and a glove. He was able to take everybody down and be competent.
Yeah,
I thought that was important for Tony Stark's character. Um,
absolutely.
it almost feels like a response to what Captain America had said to him in the previous Avengers movie, and he kind of took it to heart. Like, what's special about you in the suit? Get out of the suit, come on. So he literally got out of
Yeah,
the suit in the next one.
take that away.
What
What are you?
genius, playboy, billionaire, philanthropist.
I mean,
That's a good line.
I always, it is a great line, and I always loved Natasha's reaction. She just kind of shrugs, like, "Yeah, that's true."
To our wonderful chat, Dr. Coffin Nails, I enjoy Bob Layton's artwork as well. I've met Bob Layton in person, one of the nicest comic book artists ever. He called me brother, just like Hulk Hogan would, so he's cool in my book.
That's
And the
awesome.
coolest part, I follow Bob Layton since we're talking about Iron Man. If you follow on social media, folks, Bob was an artist that was involved with Iron Man the book in the day, but they brought him to premieres and he would be seen on set and stuff. Like, he was really proud of being a part of Iron Man, and so they kept him around, this artist, which I thought was cool because a lot of the art guys just don't get the nods. Hell,
Yeah,
Ditko, the guy that created Spider-Man, refused his royalty checks, but other people don't get anything, and the people that do get stuff,
especially with
Marvel.
Marvel.
Dude, Marvel screws the old school guys. They used to get more, and then Disney came in and fucked over everybody over. They made you sign special kind of contracts, and so a lot of people, that merger didn't do a lot of good.
No, no, it's not. A lot of actual creatives who brought these characters to life on the page for us for the very first time, or they're iconic, caretakers of these characters. They got screwed bad.
Yeah, the worst ever. The worst people to get screwed over in comic books. Siegel and Schuster, the guys that invented Superman. DC bought the rights to Superman for, I believe it was $200, flat out.
Yeah,
And then when Siegel and Schuster tried to get the rights back to Superman, they couldn't afford to fight DC in court, and DC wiped them out. And basically, those guys lived destitute until the 70s, when a guy named Neil Adams, the artist that passed away earlier this year, fought for their rights, got
yeah,
them. It's not a lot, but he got them bylines on all the Superman books and like $20,000 a year for life.
yeah.
That ain't shit.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what
not
I'm saying.
shit for having created freaking Superman.
No. In the 40s, the character was, and by the time the 40s ended, the character had brought in like $1 billion. Come on, that was
Yeah.
the Superman industry was a thing back in the day. I mean, and that's why the character of Superman is important, because he was able to be the top character and resonate for so long that so many people were influenced by him. And as sadly that generation of people pass away, go off into the night, that version of Superman goes away. But if we can kind of steer course, we can save that version of Superman. What I mean by that is just the true version, not the I let my dad die because I'm an asshole.
I'm cool with turning every single fight into a freaking Dragon Ball Z fight where everything's getting destroyed around me. That too.
Dude, I've been watching some Dragon Ball Z stuff.
I'm good friends with Geekdom 101, one of the biggest Dragon Ball YouTubers in the space.
Dude,
and, I hear a lot of stuff from him.
I don't know. I've always been fascinated from the first time I ever saw it until now. I'll watch any iteration. It's like super, whatever. He's got blue hair now.
He's got blue hair. That's usually a freaking red flag in our space, but anime is a little different.
It's funny to I don't know. That's where our entertainment's headed to. Stuff from that part of the world. They do it better nowadays.
Now, they haven't let it fall away like Western has. Apparently, they hold their modern mythologies in much higher regard than we do here.
I don't think we have a modern mythology anymore.
It doesn't feel like it.
No, it was the Marvel stuff. That was the modern mythology, but then as that's kind of fallen out of, I can't say it's fallen out of favor with society, it just doesn't have its finger on the pulse. It's like the pandemic isn't the reason Marvel's out of touch. Marvel didn't plan out their future, their waves, their phases. We talk about branding every week, folks. They are so convinced that the strength of that red logo was going to get everybody in there. Let's just take a quick second to do a detour that we didn't plan on. I looked up Wakanda Forever's numbers. It's beat Black Adam and done stuff, but it's a big drop-off from the first Black Panther. The first one had crossed $1 billion. This one's pretty much done with Avatar coming out in the end of the week.
Yeah.
And is anyone going to address that, or are we just going to act like Marvel has another hit because it made more money than Black Adam?
Well, that's what their narrative is going to be, of course. That's what, a lot of the Access media is going to be pushing on, because the Access media hated Black Adam. Like, I know you didn't really enjoy it, but the Access media had a real bone to pick with that film. And so they were panning on it right from Jump Street. And they love the fact that they get to say that Wakanda Forever made more money. But at the end of the day, you still are on track to not make much of a profit, if at all, for that movie, because of how insane the marketing budget was for it, as well as just the production budget in general, which ultimately, like, the movie looked okay. Like, visually, it had some good CG spots, and then it had some spots where it's like, oh, well, maybe this is the same team that did Black Panther 1, which had, like, some of the most spotty CGI work in the MCU. In an otherwise fine movie. Like, the movie itself was fine, the first one. But they are so desperate to push on that as being like this big, massive success, when every other metric points to the converse of that. We sold more tickets than the first Black Panther. Yeah. Or you made more money than the first Black Panther, at least in terms of is what they're trying to push for. The fact of the matter is, they're selling fewer tickets, and tickets are more expensive. That tells you something. They're losing their audience. What's funny is that that's losing even the normies. The normies who the MCU has been solely focused on as them being their cash cows, because they've long shunned us, right? The actual cape shit people. They've long forgotten about giving a crap about what we think about these things. They've been all in on grabbing the normie, just regular moviegoer, nothing better to do on a Thursday afternoon type of people, and just want to jump on board with whatever the newest, hottest thing is. That's what the normie crowd is. And they don't know T'Challa from Adam, but not Adam Warlock, to be clear. and they're still losing that audience. They're not even keeping them up now.
No. This is a two-part discussion, but we'll just really use the one part. But, like, the power of The Rock wasn't even enough to get people to go see a superhero movie from DC. Like, that's where
people
I'm going to sound
care.
crazy. No, they didn't care. But, like, the Marvel stuff, just by comparison, does seem more attractive and I'm not here to make excuses for Wakanda Forever sucked, but like it does that one look more attractive? That's okay. Normally the Marvel movies just look more attractive. Like if you put the Avengers trailer versus the Justice League trailer, who the fuck's gonna really pick the Justice League trailer?
Dude,
Even
I'm
if you
more of a
pick,
Justice League fan, but you've put especially Avengers Assemble in front of me just based on the trailers alone. Hell yeah, I'm gonna go for the Avengers movie.
and you know what? When it was the flip, when I was a kid, I preferred Marvel over DC, but DC had such amazing cartoons. I just didn't watch the Marvel equivalents after a certain point. Like, I never gave up watching cartoons because I'm an artist and I enjoy that medium. But for example, like when Spider-Man ended in 1998, I
Mhm.
would catch it in syndication and in reruns and stuff, but it wasn't a priority. Like even when Batman was in its rerun phases, I had to watch Batman every day. Justice League, Batman Beyond, all of those shows were just a top priority. Even when I was in high school, when the
New
Justice
Adventures of
League and
Batman and
Justice League
Robin.
Unlimited was on, dude, like I had to watch those cartoons. They were an event. Those felt like
Yeah.
must see TV. Even though I'm a Marvel guy and still would consider myself of those two a Marvel guy. Um, yeah, it just you got to go where the quality is. And DC at one point was the king of animation. At one point, Marvel was the king of film. Right now, it's a who sucks worse or who sucks
Right now,
less. You
it's like they're
decide.
trying to outdo each other in how bad their content is, because almost none of the DC animation that has come out in the last several years is worth a hot damn. Even stuff that's adapting like some of the most timeless and well beloved stories in DC's history, like The Killing Joke was a joke.
Yeah,
That animated film was horrible. Hush was even worse. I haven't watched Long Halloween. I have no interest in watching it because I was just like I felt so burned that they managed to screw up Killing Joke and Hush that I was just like I'm good. No thanks.
well, I skipped Batman Hush because that is my favorite modern Batman story. But the reason I like it so much is because of the artwork, flat out. Jim Lee
Well, I
artwork.
mean it's Jim Lee, yeah.
I mean, that big book I showed a minute ago when I was comparing it to Tits and Art, that's all Jim Lee artwork. That dude, you put his name. If Marvel, I hate that you have this power over me, but anytime you guys make another Jim Lee X-Men action figure, whose ass buys it? Me. I got Mafex. I got Hasbro. I won't. And here's the thing, too. Like, oh yeah, I already got a Jim Lee Cyclops from Hasbro. Oh, they got a new one out with a cell shaded cartoon style box. Fuck. Like, there's some. It's the age that I saw that shit. Like
Yep.
Gambit, oh my god! If I see that fucking brown coat and staff, I'll buy whatever Gambit's on. Same with Storm Jubilee. It doesn't matter, men or women, Wolverine, anybody. If it's that iteration, whatever they did, they have marketed that to my childhood psyche, and as an adult, I can't escape it. Like I hear the X-Men theme, and like I perk up, like in Doctor Strange when it's like da da
Mhm.
da da da. I was like, oh shit, here we go. Start the
It was a
cartoon.
nice little touch. Too bad the movie itself was the movie.
It was a visual stunner
Yes.
whose story was pretty enjoyable, but overall, I don't think about it. I don't want to watch it
It's
again.
forgettable.
Like, yeah, that's it. It's forgettable. It like I just remember loving how it looked.
Yeah. I liked the first Doctor Strange much more, I will say.
Now, the reason I went into that quick detour into the whole DC animated thing, though, is I wanted to
Mhm.
say I do want to watch The Long Halloween because there's the style of animation. They've captured what I think looks like a moving comic book with some also the lighting and the thick black lines around it. It just is an interesting looking piece of art. So I want to watch that one. I will be angry if they detour too much from the story, deviate from that classic. Um, there's a Spider-Man cartoon they want to put out. I think it got canceled, but it's the newest one from the MCU. I don't want to watch a Tom Holland era Spider-Man cartoon, but visually it looks awesome, and I think I'm gonna give it a shot.
Fair enough. I mean,
So
if it's like his character or his iteration post No Way Home, okay, that. I think that gives it a little more credence to be worthwhile, just because it might actually be Spider-Man as opposed to Iron Boy. Did I lose you? Oh, we lost Jeff. Jeff might have accidentally muted.
You know what's happening is like the app is muting me. I'm in the middle of talking to you about something. I'm like, shit. Oh well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think StreamYard's trying to keep my voice suppressed, folks. There's no joke to that. It was just an annoyance. Anyway.
I was about to say, is he gonna make it?
I'm still here. No, well, since we brought it up, let's just get this one out of the way. The Black Adam number, Variety reports that it lost between $150 to $100 million, if not more. It had a price tag of $195 million with an equal marketing cost of $100 million, grossing $384.6 million worldwide so far without a Chinese release. It hasn't even broken even. The break-even mark is $600 million, but they expect it to end at $400. They said stiff competition from Avatar and Black Panther were an uphill battle for The Rock. So now this goes... This is a flip from what The Rock said last week that said our film will profit between $52 and $72 million. Fact.
Unless he knows something that we don't, or something that nobody else knows, which I suppose is possible. I won't necessarily call the man a liar outright, but the numbers that I have seen thus far, as much as I actually enjoyed the movie. I had a ton of fun in the theater, sitting there in IMAX with a big ass bucket of popcorn, just having a grand old time, watching The Rock kick ass. I had a great time, but the numbers that I've seen don't tell a story of it doing well.
No. And your positivity and optimism really made me stop to think about my Black Adam experience, because I told you what I thought at first, and then we talked, and I was like,
you were pretty underwhelmed.
Yeah, and so, but your positivity and optimism really got me like, all right, I must really think about this film. I'm really gonna, put the extra time in, and I'm not saying this sarcastically, but to care. Like, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna give this movie some more respect. And I tried, and I would, I think about how much I liked Pierce Brosnan and other things like that. But at the end of the day, this movie suffers, and I know this is a weird comparison. Well, not weird, but like the Justice League. Both of those movies were just kind of forgettable. Neither of them pissed me off. Neither, like Justice League, I don't think is. I'm probably on the nicest camp to Justice League on the planet. The original cut, not the Zack Snyder bullshit.
Yeah, I like what I like to call them is either the Justice League blooper reel or the Justice League edgelord cut. That's what I like to do. It's the first one. The first one's forgettable. It's like it has a couple of moments. I'd be the first to admit I smiled when Henry Cavill shows up at the end there and says, "I'm a big fan of justice," and I'm like, right there. That's Superman for 10 seconds.
Just a few. I think that's where a lot of people hold on to the Snyderverse, because you have good casting. That's the thing. You have
the castings for a lot of the characters are spot on.
Yeah. And I think that's what people like emotionally hold on to. But the movies do suck. Like even Batman versus Superman, which has Batman versus Superman has some amazing scenes, great visuals, awesome choreography. It's a garbage dog shit movie.
Yeah.
And it
both as that's one of the ones that's garbage as just a movie and as an adaptation. Because sometimes you'll get like one that's like, well, this is a crap adaptation, but just if I'm looking at it from a technical perspective, from a just a storytelling, 3-act production, it's well put together. That movie is one of those instances where it's like, no, none of it. Like you got the casting, and that's. Well, okay, you got the casting with Ben Affleck and you got the casting with Henry Cavill. I will fight until I'm purple in the face, even about Amy Adams being not Lois Lane. Gal Gadot, I think, is fantastic as Wonder Woman.
Wait, do people fight you that Amy Adams is a great Lois Lane?
Dude, you don't understand. And I know you don't, and you're probably better off for it. You don't spend all that much time on Twitter. The arguments that I've gotten into over the Snyderverse shit, man, like they'll try and I want to I've made this clear on Twitter. I've made it clear on other streams, there are two type of Snyder people. There are people who enjoy Snyder's movies, like they even his DC movies. Some of my closest friends are among these people. However, they will never tell me this is a great adaptation of these characters. They'll be like, I enjoyed this movie. Okay. I can't tell you that you don't enjoy it. You enjoyed it. That is a personal, subjective thing. I'm happy that you didn't feel like you wasted your time. And then you have what I call the Snyderites. These are the people who act like Zack Snyder is the second coming of Christ. They act like he invented character layering, invented storytelling, hell, invented cinema in general. Like that sounds like hyperbole, but the way that those people specifically talk about his stuff, you're just like, so he's never done a bad thing ever. Like he can do no wrong. Like, are you serious? Like some of my favorite actors, directors, writers have put out garbage before, and I still call them on it, even if they're like my favorite. Like you got to be intellectually honest here. But all of that is to say, yes, I've had people argue with me that Amy Adams is a great Lois Lane, and all I have to do is just shake my head and be like, okay, well, you've never read a Superman comic.
My favorite Lois Lane still comes from the cartoon, the Dana Delaney voiced version from 1996 Superman.
That show doesn't get the respect it deserves.
You damn right. That show
is damned good.
It's almost as good as Batman the Animated Series at times. Not always, but there are some really wonderful episodes.
Correct. It does have some truly incredible episodes. And the nice thing about the old DCEU, or DCAU, I mean, is that even for people who don't read comic books, if they grew up with those animated series, even though it's not a one-for-one necessarily, if you truly watched those shows, you will have at least a decent understanding of who these characters are, because they did a good job of translating at least the core of the characters into animation. And that's something I appreciate.
I think they made the definitive version of the DC characters overall. Like, in the broad spectrum of it, it's like who got them all the most accurate. They did.
Yeah,
Bruce.
I think those shows are eternal.
Oh God, yes. It's so fun to sit down and watch, like, when the Justice Lords come to the Justice League, or the time where they fight the invading Thanagarian army, and you learn that Hawkgirl was a fucking spy, and they're all betrayed, and all that. Like, that's you talk about a coming out of nowhere storyline. I remember watching that, going, "Whoa, this is cool!" And then the ensuing battle, like. I think I'm going to put on Justice League soon. That's I got it on Blu-ray. That's how much I like that cartoon. I bought it.
Ooh, they remastered it recently, right? Yep. That's the remaster, the HD remaster?
Well, the Justice League got an HD remaster years ago. I've had this disc for over a decade, but it's an HD official release from Warner Brothers.
Okay. Because I know that Superman and Batman Beyond all got HD remasters in the last handful of years. Yep. But I couldn't remember if they had done that with Justice League. I gotta watch that. I'll tell you what. How old was I when I was watching that shit? Justice League, right? Unlimited. I'm 34 right now. Justice League Unlimited came out in 2000. Was that 2003? Was Justice League Unlimited 5
or 4?
Okay,
sorry,
so
4 to 6.
4 to, okay, so I was So this was just going into puberty, Andrew, and I'm seeing Supergirl, and I'm like, yes, please. I have a bit of a Supergirl obsession. I have many a statue, many a signed comic book and whatnot.
She is a cool character. My first introduction
my
to
second
her
favorite DC character.
I remember her from the cartoon. That was my first introduction to Kara Zor-El, and she was cool. I liked the look. She was funny. I mean, there really wasn't a lot to bitch about in that show. I mean, there was a great episode where this alien warrior wanted to marry Superman because he was the strongest man in the universe. And so they have this big battle, and then Superman's like, look, I think they even kidnapped Lois Lane, and they're going to kill her. He's like, look, no matter what you do.
Maxima?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh wait, hold on. I think we're thinking of two different episodes because you're thinking of is Maxima the one that has the other like she turns out to be a bad guy, right? She's got
Yes.
like a metallic suit. I'm thinking of the one where Superman's off world and the woman like Superman's like I love Lois Lane, you can't have me no matter what. And then Lobo enters in the end. Like it ends with Lobo coming
Oh,
in. She
yeah, we
falls
are
for
thinking of two different
Lobo.
ones. Okay.
Yeah, I was just like, it was such a great like stinger of an ending, and that's how you really treat the DC universe. The DC universe is fun. It's funny. I mean, look at Kevin McGuire's work on Justice Society or Justice League America, the ones from the '80s.
Yeah.
That's a funny book. That is a funny book. That's where like Guy Gardner got punched out by Batman. There's a
I
different
mean,
side
let's
to
be
DC
real. It's
they
Guy
can do.
Gardner. He probably deserved it.
Yeah, duh. I mean, the haircut alone deserves that.
Yeah, if you've got a bowl cut, you deserve to get punched out by Batman. If he won't do it, I will.
Now, to answer a question in the chat, the Justice League Unlimited didn't get an HD remaster. It was produced in high definition. It was the first DC cartoon to be produced in widescreen, and it was the first Justice League was used or created digitally. So, there you go. There's a little bit of factoid for you.
The more you know.
Some animation.
Where's that button?
Hold on. Oh, fuck. You said it. Now I have to press it.
Sorry. Was it peer pressure? Yes. Am I sorry? No.
Am I angry? Livid.
Okay, my bad.
You know how angry I am right now, Andrew. I'm gonna tear up the screen. Actually, I'm
ladies and gentlemen of the chat. If you do not see me back next week, you know why.
Yes,
this was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, this is it right now, man. This right here on Cape Shit. So, folks, it has been a wonderful day. As I showed you at the beginning of the show, Tits and Art has arrived. I had some great progress with Bulkbusters. I finished Legend of Zelda at lunch. And now it's time to check in with you guys. So, Andrew, pick a number between 1 and 69, and let's say hello to our wonderful audience.
Let's do a 24.
A 24. Let's see. 1, 2, skip a few. Ah, there's 24.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Jesus Christ. Every single time I see that scene, I'm like, who thought that this was, like, acting?
Well, when you have all the money to finance your own film, you do.
I guess so.
You know he, like, was super wealthy, right? Behind the scenes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. The story of The Room is more fascinating than The Room itself. And I like the movie. I unironically enjoy The Room. It's stupid, but I don't care. I'm having a good time.
That's all that matters sometimes.
Well, I have this litmus test. It's called, do I find it entertaining? I enjoy a film called Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. It is a garbage movie, and the lead actor is a terrible actor, but I find him entertaining, therefore I like it. Same with Nicolas Cage. There are Nicolas Cage performances that I find batshit insane, but I'm entertained, and I love his work, so... That is why Nicolas Cage is the only celebrity, hell, the only person on the planet I would indulge to do cocaine with. That's my running joke.
Okay, well, good to know.
Look, if I'm gonna do it, why not with Nicolas Cage? It's gonna be a hell of a time.
Yeah, maybe he'll even throw on the old Superman 4 suit, right?
Oh my God, he'll think he could fly for real.
Yeah. Well, what happened to Nick Cage? Well, you see, what happened was
he went over there. He went out the window.
He thought he was not a bird or a plane. He thought he was Superman, and it didn't work out.
So, our friend Shrubbles08, the word of the day is chestnuts. Debbie does chestnuts. Rudolph, the red-nosed chestnut. Star Wars, the rise of chestnuts. And chestnut hard. How about Die Hard with a chestnut?
How about Chestnut Busters?
Ooh, that is dirty. I like it. The Legend of Zelda, Chestnuts of Time.
Oh, gosh. Chestnut Waker.
Ooh, that sounds dirty, even though it's not.
Chestnut Mask.
How about a weird title?
It's getting worse.
We could do Suburban Chestnut.
Oh,
that actually sounds cool. That just sounds like a color. Like, hey, I got a new deck. Oh, really? Yeah, it's Suburban Chestnut. Ooh, lovely.
Jesus.
it's been a long day, and I ate a bowl of soup and I drank a lot of coffee, so I'm in a weird place right now.
That's fair enough. FYI, Valiant just sent us a group text
Ooh,
with
okay.
a screenshot of something that she posted on Late Water.
I do have that. Thank you to our friend Valiant Renegade. Folks, make sure you guys are subscribed to Valiant Renegade's channel and check out WDW Pro as well. We follow them both on social media. And we had a wonderful episode of the High Council right before Thanksgiving. Folks, if you want to have some of the most fun you've ever had on this channel, go back and check out, I believe it's now 3 weeks ago, the High Council featuring WDW Pro and Valiant Renegade. It's an all-time great.
That was a phenomenal show.
Shows up. I mean, I've had fun on streams. I've streamed for a lot of people, with a lot of people. That was an all-time classic, folks. Do yourselves a favor. If you want a good laugh, go back and listen to the entire episode. It's nonstop from start to finish. Some of the best stuff we've put out. Really proud of it. Also proud of all the chestnut titles, folks, so keep sending your chestnuts. Ninja Lawyer Steve says, did you get my emails, Jeff? Yes, Ninja Lawyer Steve, I have those pulled up. I will the buttons in the other one, I will get back to you probably in the morning, to be honest, because I'm going to finish the show, have dinner, and then don't want to make a commitment that I might forget about. So be on the lookout tomorrow. And if not, just shoot me a reminder. I won't take it personally. I just appreciate the reminder. So up next, we have one from another friend of the channel, Shrebbles08, who says, hail Jeff and Trouser Snake. I'll take a diehard button and you get what you deserve. So did I miss something, Trouser Snake? How's that your new name?
It's not.
Okay.
It's some weird nickname based on the fact that I'm a Slytherin in Hogwarts. Like House Slytherin is my house. And I don't remember exactly how that came about because I forgot already because I didn't care.
You know, whenever I hear that, I just think of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Because in that movie, Jay's talking to the girl and she's like, do you like all kinds of animals? She's like, yeah, this, that. He's like, what about bears, rhinos? She's like, animals don't have to be cute and cuddly for me to like them. He goes, really? She goes, yeah. He's like, what about a trouser snake? And then she goes, ooh, what's that? And then an angel and a demon appear on his shoulder. Because I'd never heard the phrase trouser snake before, so it was a...
Honestly, that's probably where the term came from, if it's my guess.
Well, Kevin Smith, there you go, man. You created something kind of funny. Now, you know what I'm going to do real quick? Since we keep getting these diehard buttons, and you know it's the season of miracles and all, I'm just gonna re-upload that real quick, folks, to the other part, and then we're gonna take care of it that way. So just give me a quick moment, Shrebbles, and I will get your button uploaded, and now it's a part of the channel again. We also have our Jennifer Lawrence buttons, folks. So if you want to see the first female director, there you go, Elizabeth Banks. She's still here. We gotta get rid of these buttons. I somehow got rid of the Jennifer Lawrence button.
Elizabeth Banks is a talented actress, at least.
Oh, yeah. I like her movies. Zack and Miri make a porno. She's good in Spider-Man. She's funny in The 40-Year-Old Virgin. Like, Jesse made me watch Pitch Perfect. I think she was a commentator in that movie. So,
yeah. She does have talent. Just as an actress, not a writer.
Well, the thing is, like, when I make fun of a lot of celebrities, I make fun of the shit they say. I can be honest about everything. And
sure.
I was just honest about Elizabeth Banks. I don't really care about the movies she's directed so far, but I already have a ticket for Cocaine Bear next year. It's all about the art coming from the people. I don't have to love everything she does. Honestly, before her Charlie's Angels shit, she was somebody I liked quite a bit. I wasn't watching Pitch Perfect. I'm not watching everything she does, but she had a cool factor. I respected her, kind of like I look at Emma Stone. Like, I'm not really into your work, everything you do, but you've been enough shit that I like, and you're cool in my book.
I was as Gwen in... I'm going to stop talking before I get myself in trouble.
Well, I will get myself out of trouble by bringing up the Dr. Coffin Nail, Jennifer Lawrence butthole button. Not
okay, here we go.
Coffin Nails. But we do have this. So, folks, 'tis the season. It's the season of miracles.
Glass? Who gives a shit about Glass? Who the fuck is this?
This is Deputy Chief of Police Dwayne T. Robinson, and I am in charge of this situation.
Oh, you're in charge. Well, I got some bad news for you, Dwayne. I'm not the one who just got butt fucked on national TV, Dwayne.
Jesus.
Yes. I fucking third favorite movie of all time, Die Hard.
That freaking movie, man. That was a glorious movie.
I always bring this up, and the audience knows, but my mom saw that movie back in 1988 when she was pregnant with me. So I tell people, folks, I love Die Hard so much, I was there in 1988 in the theater.
You were there in the womb.
I was, man.
That's awesome.
Damn. Maybe there's some science behind my love of Die Hard and the fact that my mom saw it when she was pregnant with me. Who knows?
Well, there's science that supports that the music that you listen to while you're pregnant with your kid, in a lot of cases, ends up being music that has some sort of impact on them when they're actually, young adults or kids and can actually listen to it for themselves. There's a connection there. So who knows? Maybe there's something to do with that.
Yeah, I do get goosebumps every time Hans Gruber falls from the Nakatomi Plaza. That music is so great. Shrebels08, you also asked for one of these. Thank you, folks, for joining us tonight, and send it in the super chats for the buttons. We always have fun making these, and we'll have some more, a lot more, in the new year.
Get what you fucking deserve!
Oh my gosh!
I can't. Every single time I see that motorcyclist just get lit the hell up. Oh my god.
Dude, he's died on this channel more times than the stormtroopers falling down the stairs.
That's saying something.
Yeah, there's a lot of carnage on the World Class Bullshitters channel, folks, and none of it happens to anybody.
Irene, why you gotta be bringing that negativity into this stream like that? 79 cents a gallon.
Maybe, Human, you're onto something. Yes, the potty mouth language of Die Hard definitely influenced me in the womb. I don't think I've ever done a podcast without saying shit. So there you go. Thank you though, Shrebels08. Zombie Box Reviews says, I wanted to thank both you and Jesse for coming to my birthday stream. I love you guys so much. Zombie Box Reviews, thank you for having us, man. It was a pleasure. And your friend, the guy who I believe his name was Ryan, he was great. He had a cool voice as well. Folks, check out Zombie Box Reviews. He's great shorts. He has an awesome voice for streaming. He's British, so he sounds like a mix between C-3PO and the world's greatest narrator. Both of the guys that were on the Zombie Box Review stream was awesome. Also, friends like Mad the Magnificent was over there, Sweet Pea, and a few others. So, folks, Zombie Box Reviews is a cool dude. Check out his work. Now, here's another cool guy. Dixon Cider says, got Dion's gift along with a few other things for you and Andrew. Make sure that Dion shows on screen when he gets it. Random button, please. Dixon Cider, I will be seeing Dion for the New Year celebration that we always have, so I will take anything that you send to Dion. And don't hesitate to tweet us to remind us. Actually, I'm going to ask you to remind us. So, you asked for a random button? Here you go.
You're an inanimate fucking object!
What the hell is that one from?
Oh, In Bruges. You got to see it, man. It's this
Jesus.
Irish... Okay, there's this guy named Neil McDonough. Yeah, that's his name. No, Martin McDonough. Neil McDonough is an actor. Martin McDonough, he's an Irish playwright. Jesse's into him. And so he has a handful of movies and a bunch of plays. And I had seen this movie, or heard of this movie, In Bruges, years ago. And it's got Colin Farrell and a handful of people. Ray Fiennes one of them. So Colin Farrell's a criminal, and he gets off the phone with Ray Fiennes. And he, like, the news he gives Ray Fiennes pisses him off. And so Ray Fiennes breaks his phone, and his wife comes in and goes, Danny, he goes, Danny, calm down, that's an inanimate object. To which he responds,
You're an inanimate fucking object!
Jeez.
Yeah.
Apparently he didn't like that.
It's so fucking funny. Then he did another movie called Seven Psychopaths. You guys should check it out. I like that one quite a bit. Yeah, Christopher Walken. It's a good one.
I will take
it. Yeah, Pyrene Dream has good taste. In Bruges, classic of our time. Hey, John Chipola, what is up? So, Dixon Cider, thank you very much. And Darian217 asks, did Jesse get that $100 from Dion yet? Will there be a video or posting of it? Well, Darian217, we are going to have Dion take us to go see Avatar: Way of the Water.
Oh.
And we will stream the currency exchange. We will at least document it. Don't worry, folks. There's no way we're going to have a joke go on for this many years and not document it. So, Darian,
how long has this joke been going for?
Since before the pandemic.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Yeah, Dion made a bet to Jesse that Avatar 2 would never come out.
Oof.
Yeah. It was
Well.
it was the world's worst bet, but Dion refuses to back down. So
We lost that bet.
Hey, he's got 3 more days. I know people have seen it. We talked about reviews of the channel or on the channel, but damn it, Dion, you shouldn't have made that bet. You're my best friend, but I don't have your back this time. It was your words.
Whenever you gamble, my friend, eventually you'll lose.
Yeah. So let's talk about Wonder Woman. Patty Jenkins is a director who made Wonder Woman, and she made. Okay, hold on. I keep mistaking her for Catherine Bigelow. What did Patty Jenkins? Was she just Monster? Is that her big claim to fame? Because I know she hasn't done a ton of films, and so.
No, she hasn't done a ton, but I think you're right. I think it's just Monster.
So I had seen Monster years ago, the movie with Charlize Theron where she became Eileen Wuornos. It's a good movie. I highly recommend that one. And then Wonder Woman comes out, to which I enjoyed. It was the first DC film I walked out of in the DCEU and went, oh, that didn't suck at all.
Yeah.
That's how low the bar was back then.
That was kind of a first, wasn't it?
Yeah. And so then finally, we get to Wonder Woman 1984. I have reviewed that film on the channel. We've been talking about that film, what feels like since 1984, but I'll say it like this. That is the film in which Wonder Woman sexually assaults a man against his will, and no one seemed to care at DC.
Yep.
But we noticed. We cared. So, Patty Jenkins has left Wonder Woman. She has left Rogue Squadron. And at first, we were all wondering what's happening. What's going on? Did Patty Jenkins' stock just drop out? No. Patty Jenkins released a statement today, and now we have some information. So would you like to hear, Andrew, what Patty Jenkins said about her situation with Wonder Woman, Star Wars, and more?
Let's have it.
By the way, that sigh is in the writing. She goes, I'm not one to talk about private career matters, but I will not allow inaccuracies to continue. Here are the facts. I do love that we live in a world where people just go to Twitter and tell the truth. It's like, hey, I heard that DC hates Henry Cavill. And then James Gunn's like, that's not true. But it could be true. No, it's not true. I just like that. Those have been making me laugh this week. So I originally left Rogue Squadron after a long and productive development process when it became clear it couldn't happen soon enough, and I didn't want to delay Wonder Woman 3 any further. When I did, Lucasfilm asked me to consider coming back to Rogue Squadron after Wonder Woman 3, which I was honored to do. So I agreed. They made a new deal with me. In fact, I am still on it, and that project has been in active development ever since. I don't know if it will happen or not. We never do until development process is complete, but I look forward to its potential ahead. When there started being backlash about the Wonder Woman 3 not happening, the attractive clickbait false story was that it was me killed it or I walked away that started to spread. That is simply not true. I never walked away. I was open to considering anything asked of me. But it was my understanding that there was nothing I could do to move anything forward at this time. DC is obviously buried in changes right now they're having to make. So I understand these decisions are difficult. I do not want what has been a beautiful journey with Wonder Woman to land on a negative note. I have loved and been so honored to be the person who got to make these last 2 Wonder Woman films. She has an incredible career. Living around her value makes one a better person every day. I wish her and her legacy an amazing future ahead, with or without me. Walking alongside Linda Carter, an absolute legend and beacon of goodness and light, has been a thrill. I have learned so much from her and will cherish her as a friend and mentor always. My crew has been like a family, and I give the world the best film we could. And Gal Gadot, where do I even begin? Gal is the greatest gift I have ever received in this whole journey. She's great, blah, blah, blah. Most importantly, thank you with the incredible Wonder Woman fans for all your love and support. And then she ends with saying this. Thank you all for this wonderful journey. Keep up the Wonder Woman spirit. Any day that you face struggles, try asking, what would Wonder Woman do? I hope her beacon of love, truth, and justice is always there to lead you as she has done for me. So that is the official statement from Patty Jenkins today.
Can I excuse me, I have a question.
Yeah, of course.
Does the what would Wonder Woman do apply if there's somebody that I kind of dig, but they don't dig me, but I don't really care what they think?
Yeah, I think that is the one case when you don't ask yourself, what would Wonder Woman do?
Okay.
Because
I was just trying to
no-
clarify because Patty Jenkins told me. Just think what would Wonder Woman do. I love how she said, I don't want to close out Wonder Woman on a low note. Well, you know what you already did. We had Wonder Woman 1984. So
Dude, Wonder
that's
Woman
okay.
1984 is an all-time classic for how terrible it is. I cannot believe that they followed up Wonder Woman with that.
I am more disappointed in Wonder Woman 1984 than anything else that's come out of the DCEU, because after Man of Steel, I didn't have high expectations for VBS because I knew I was probably in for another shitty movie. And that's exactly what I got. Whereas with Wonder Woman, the first film, even though you can make an argument that the third act is just kind of meh, it suffers with that final fight, but everything else leading up to that, and yes, there's an argument to be had about how do you what's the note that you go out on, sure. But overall, I love that movie and I can watch it over and over. And I was really, really hoping that Wonder Woman 1984 was going to give me just as good of an experience. And I was extremely disappointed that is not what I got.
Well, Wonder Woman 1984 will be reserved as one of those $5 bin movies where I will look at it and go, oh, and I will never think about it again.
Exactly.
I mean, look, I'll bet you $5 that Patty Jenkins didn't write this herself. But this whole situation, let me ask you the big question. Do you think all the news, rumors, and bullshit that have come out to get us to the position where we get more official answers is a good thing or a bad thing?
I think this is one of those instances where two things can be true at once. I think it depends on your perspective. On the one hand, getting transparency from people in Hollywood is a welcome thing. Now, that's assuming that everything she says in this statement is true and accurate. Which, it's kind of up in the air whether that's the case. You never know with these people. On the other hand, it does make me a little sad that we're in this space. And look, we love to rip on our entertainment because they give us a lot of good excuses to do so. It's not particularly hard, we don't have to go digging. Some people like to go digging and pull things out of their ass and where they don't actually exist. The fact of the matter is you don't have to do that. You don't have to go digging because there's plenty of examples out there worth criticizing. That being said, it seems like we only got to this point because of just the massive backlash, constant negativity that we're always pushing, always hammering on now on social media, on YouTube and all these. It's freaking tiring, man. And maybe some of these people in Hollywood feel the same way in that regard, at the very least. And that's why we're getting some of these transparent messages here where it's like, I'm so sick. Can we just shut them up? Can we just tell them, all right, can we get this over with, please? They'll make fun of us for 5 minutes and then we can move on with our fucking lives. And part of me wants to empathize with that because I'll be honest, I get tired of it too. I get tired of being negative, but Hollywood, stop giving me a reason to be negative.
Yeah. Make something decent.
Give me some good. That's one of the reasons why I really wanted to like Black Adam so much and why I still maintain that I did very much enjoy it. I still had my criticisms of it. The Justice Society was largely useless outside of Dr. Fate and Hawkman, tokenized Hawkman, I might add. That was another thing.
I forgot about that.
And a handful of other things, but the CG on the final bad guy, who was completely forgettable, was a little Incredible Hulk in a couple of scenes where it's like, ooh, that looks a little rubbery. A little more blending there, guys. A little more blending. But overall, I still had fun with it, and to me, that was a positive. I'll criticize the film where it deserved, and praise it where I feel it deserved. I at least had fun, which was
100%.
more than I could have said for any of the Snyderverse stuff. That was like having a pine cone kicked up my ass backwards for however many hours. What was it? 4 hours? That was the Snyder 4. God, I'm never going back and rewatching that. I'm just gonna say that I have seen the Justice League twice, which I would sooner watch that 2 more times than I would watch the Snyder Cut again.
If enough people wanted to watch the Justice League, the Joss Whedon edit, I would just say okay. Like, it's just one of those movies that it's so inoffensive. It's not good.
It's
but
forgettable.
It's so
very
inoffensive
forgettable
to me. Yeah.
I think my 2 biggest issues with that film are that. Look, I love Jason Momoa. I think he seems like a pretty cool guy outside of a little bit of an environmentalist nutcase. But I think we're going to be talking a little bit about him and his status here. But him being cast as a freaking Aqua Bro, as opposed to us getting Arthur Curry, who for the last handful of years before that movie came out had been an actual badass in the comic books. That was disappointing for me. And then for the first live action big screen presentation of a Flash, you give me Ezra fucking Miller as an ineffectual, ostensibly unlikable, useless sack of shit.
I mean, he was so weird and off-putting. When I saw the movie, I was like, when I watched when I watched the Justice League edit, I found his like the metaphor of like him wanting to have people for brunch. I kind of thought that was like, all right, I get that. I kind of liked it, and I liked like that, but I did not like him. I was like, why can't the guy from TV be the Flash? I've seen enough episodes where I'm like, he's cool. I like him. He seems like he could fit in with this world.
Grant Gustin could actually, if the writing wasn't shit, Grant Gustin could play a solid Barry Allen. And that's the best I can say about it. I have nothing against Grant Gustin. I prefer my Barry Allen to be a bit more built, because I'm used to seeing Barry Allen in that regard. I think to Flash Rebirth, written by Jeff Johns and EVS, and in the way that it's drawn there, or just about any of the freaking issues prior to that. There's a certain build, a certain superhero build that I associate specifically with Barry. Even though Barry's not my Flash, Wally's my Flash, as you can tell on my little card here. But still, like, if you're gonna do Barry Allen, do Barry Allen. Like, I don't know who the fuck that was supposed to be on the screen. That's not Barry. That's not Jay Garrick. That's not Wally West. That's not Bart Allen even. And Bart Allen is the most awkward of all of them. I don't know who that is. No idea who the hell I'm looking at there.
He felt like, remember when they would make a 90s movie adaptation of something you like and they would do all those weird changes just because it's a movie? Yeah. That's what The Flash felt like to me. It's like, why is The Flash so shitty? Because it's a movie. Okay.
It's a bad reason. Stop
I don't like it.
I agree. Yeah. It's a terrible reason.
I'm so glad we don't have to deal with him right now. I can't. He's batshit insane in real life. Come on. Can we not let that one go?
He's a psychopath. And DC is hammering so hard on the supposed like great pre-screens for that film, that this is like the greatest thing since No Way Home, which, I mean, that doesn't say that much to me, because No Way Home was okay, and really only because of the third act. So
I agree with that.
I don't believe for 2 seconds that this movie is anything phenomenal. Why? Because I've seen Ezra Miller act. He's not a particularly talented actor. I've seen him be the Flash, or at least the DCEU's version of it, and I don't believe him. So a movie where it's literally just him and multiple versions of him, well, How
So
am
what
I
you're telling me
supposed
is-
to enjoy this?
If you hated one, wait till we give you 4. Ezra Miller, Ezra Miller, Ezra Miller, and Ezra Miller. Flashpoint. Like, who fucking greenlit this piece of shit?
It's a great
I guess
question.
We know the answer. Was it? Not David Zaslav. Who's the guy that he replaced? Or Kevin Sujihara? Was it that guy's fault? Or
Walter
Hamada? Okay.
Hamada.
I guess that's the guy who greenlit it. Thanks, Walter. Thank you.
And I feel it almost the way that I'm reading into it, and maybe that's just me giving myself some sort of false hope. I'm willing to acknowledge that, the possibility of that. Maybe Zaslav, after like cutting all of these movies, cutting all of these projects, is like, okay, I got to leave something. But even then, that doesn't track with what we know of Zaslav. He's a numbers guy. If he thinks something is actually financially viable and is going to be profitable and make money, it's something he'll do. I just don't see. Oh, Pyrene Dream is up in here like giving me goosebumps. Cameron Monaghan as the Flash. You talking about Wally? Oh my God!
Is that the guy that's the Joker? In Gotham or whatever? I
forgot he did that in Gotham, but he's actually at this point more well known for he's Cal Kestis in the Jedi Fallen Order game franchise.
I didn't realize it was the same guy.
Yeah, same guy, and he's fantastic. I'm not going to go on a Jedi Fallen Order rant. That's too easy. But that would make me extremely happy, Pyrene. That would make me extremely happy. And AJ Journeyman said that SOB Tom King. I'm not all right. I will get angry if I start thinking about Heroes in Crisis. That never happened. That never happened to the point where even DC editorial in current year was like, yeah, this is really bad. Everybody hates this. We're going to retcon this twice in like the span of half a year. Which I can't think of an instance where that's been done before.
You get a reboot. You get a reboot. Everybody gets a reboot. It's kind of how it goes these days.
Yeah.
Now, we were on the topic of Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman. Is there anything else you'd like to say about Wonder Woman or DC in general? Is there anything big else to cover from DC?
There isn't right now, and it's because a lot of stuff is speculation. James Gunn has had some interesting things to say recently regarding the future of DC, where he's made hints to some things and like to where certain projects are no longer happening or some roles are changing, actors are changing. There was this whole thing about Jason Momoa is no longer going to be Aquaman, which I realize that the vast majority of people who are watching these movies aren't actually Aquaman fans. And I won't even, freaking try and high side here and say that I'm the biggest Aquaman fan in the world, but that makes me supremely happy if it means that he's getting cast in the role he was born for, which is Lobo. If that's the case, cool, 100% on board with it. Give me real Arthur Curry and give me Lobo. That would make me supremely happy. But I think we're going to see, because there's so much, the number of rumors that are flying around right now, specifically around the DCEU. You said it earlier, like the stories of what's going on around this like brand right now are more interesting than the content they're putting out. And that's extremely exemplified right now with what's going on and the stuff that James Gunn has been saying, because it seems like, certain projects are getting canceled. I was just reading earlier this afternoon that a treatment for Man of Steel 2 was thrown out because DC was kind of underwhelmed by it. They're like not interested. But I think what we're going to see moving forward is ultimately we're going to see certain people staying on in the roles, certain people leaving the roles. I think Zaslav and Gunn are smart enough to be like, okay, we need to hold on to Cavill. We need to hold on to Godot. I don't think there's any hope for them getting Affleck back. He's said he's done. Between the two different versions of Justice League, those movies damn near killed him. I don't think he has any interest in doing that again. As much as I legitimately love the potential that is there for him as Bruce Wayne and Batman. I think he's a fantastic, or has the potential to be a fantastic older Bruce and older Batman. But we unfortunately just didn't get that. But it's one of those things where you can see it, just like with Cavill. It was like, oh man, I can see it. Like there are hints. I can see that he could do this perfectly. Just needs to be given the chance. He needs the right writer. He needs the right director. And I hope we get some much needed recastings. I know people love Aquabro. I'm sorry, that's not Aquaman. I enjoy it, and to be fair, I enjoy that first movie quite a lot. I think it's a fun film. I think it's a gorgeous film, and I think James Wan directed a fantastic movie there. It's a great popcorn flick. They took some nods from Jeff Johns' run on Aquaman in the New 52, which was one of the only good books in the New 52, for inspiration on the story that they were telling there. So
you're saying that Aquaman was the only good New 52 book overall, or just in specific eras?
It was one of the only good books in New 52. There were only a couple. Like the first 3 volumes, like the first 3 story arcs of Scott Snyder's Batman were rock solid. So up through Death of the Family.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, because like the Batman stuff was awesome for a minute. Like the Court of Owls, when that came, I was buying
Court of Owls
and
Court of Owls and City of Owls that followed it. Or was it Night of Owls? I forget the name, but Court of Owls followed by Night of Owls or City of Owls were the first 2 arcs, and those were excellent. That was like great stuff. The Flash wasn't amazing, but the Flash was consistently decent to like good. So it kind of stayed in this space where it never really went to just trash, and it was never amazing. And so that was, I kind of washed that out to be like, okay, so it was fine. But New 52 Aquaman by Jeff Johns, the first 3 volumes of that were excellent. And the art is out of this world. I would just like to see that Aquaman on screen, like a truly badass. Like I know Jason Momoa can play a badass. That's not what's being written for him as Aquaman, in my opinion. He's being written as a California surfer bro. I lived in the Bay Area, California for over 20 years. I know what they look and sound like. That's what it was. I don't need that as Aquaman.
Well, millions of women do, Andrew, so maybe you should think about their needs, not yours.
Well, maybe I don't care about theirs.
It doesn't matter what they think.
It doesn't matter what you think. Clearly.
Oh, you don't care. Look, I don't care about their needs either.
Maybe they'll show up for Lobo. Lobo's always got an open chest vest on.
That's what's going to sell the DC films. Guys in vests.
Yeah. That
Han Solo's going to be a part of the DCEU now.
That doesn't depress me at all.
You're not excited by this bright future?
No. I want to be. I'm a DC guy. I would love more than anything to be excited about this stuff. But right now, I'm just kind of in this space where it's like, on the Marvel end, I have just like no hope right now. It's like Disney just needs to get to the point where they are actively bleeding money on this property to where they have to sell it off or completely restaff from the ground up with people that know what the hell they're doing. DC is in this weird spot where it's like they have the potential to start from scratch right now, or rather after the Flashpoint. I don't even, why the fuck are they starting with Flashpoint? Maybe ultimately, as stupid as them starting with Flashpoint for the first live action Flash film, if you're a Flash fan, you know how retarded that is. Maybe this is an opportunity for them to start from scratch. Maybe that's how we'll get these recastings. Maybe that's how we'll get some better stories. I want to be hopeful. It's just hard to be.
You're not wrong.
They give us few reasons to be. Let me put it that way.
Like I tell you, I just have gone back and I read old Marvel, Atlas 50s books, or I'll go back and reread like a lot of classic Spider-Man never leaves my desk. There's always some version of it. Either it's Romita, Ditko, somebody. Hell, I've even gotten into like reading the black and white original art now to analyze it. It's interesting how simple the storytelling was, but how effective it was. And I think that's where a lot of art goes wrong. And I don't mean just comic book actual art, but like movies, TV shows. There's something to be said about
the art of
simplicity.
entertainment.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about the simplicity of it. Sometimes you don't need multiverses, time jumps, this, that, and the other. You need a simple story, good versus evil, just stuff like that. Like I keep telling you, folks, I think that's where the next big change in entertainment is. Because you got Avatar, which has no story, and we're going to talk about that next. And then you got other movies that have too much of a story that make no sense. Just something nice and clean and basic. Like Top Gun. I know that's been repetitive all year long, but that movie is the perfect blend of what works. It's got a high amount of action, it's got story, but it's also not like complicated or stupid. And it's not that complicated is bad, but we've come to a point where a lot of writers, especially genre writers, sadly, they're trying to outsmart everybody at all times, and it's not fun to try to read their stuff. It's like, look, guys, I get it. You're proud of the education you have, but can you just let me enjoy my Star Trek?
Yeah,
Like,
everybody's trying to be the next Alan Moore. Everybody's trying to be the next this or that. It's like, no, stop it. Dial it back. Doing the whole multiversal thing is one of the worst things that has happened in not just in comic books, but like especially in them going into the movies and jumping into that. Because there's no continuity, there's no consistency. And just as you said, we need some more. I'm not saying bring it down to earth in the way that like Nolan was unwilling to do anything that was supernatural in his Batman stories to the point where he did whatever the hell that was supposed to be with Bane. But you don't have to do these galaxy spanning stories to tell a good story with these characters. There are characters where that makes sense. You would do that with Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay, guess what? You can do that with Guardians of the Galaxy. That's fine. I'm not going to get mad at you. But you don't need to be doing... I don't need Peter 80 billion light years away, on some other planet. This isn't freaking Secret Wars and he's getting the black suit for the first time. So unless that's the case, keep him in freaking Manhattan.
Exactly. It was so weird that the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man really didn't spend much time in his neighborhood.
At all.
And that was my biggest complaint. Well, not my biggest, but that was one of my big complaints in the first one, Homecoming, how he never even went to, Manhattan. He didn't do any web swinging in that movie. He went to New York. Or not New York, to Washington. Whoop-de-doo. It was like... I don't know, everyone was
those
all
movies
jazzed
were fucking Degrassi with spider powers is what those were.
And I'm glad they're done. Because the last one ended on a great note. I can't wait for
it did. It ended on a high note. You and I agree at this.
It's just nice to be excited about something, or at least to look forward to something.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to sound too hypocritical because I just made my opinions on multiversal stuff known, but what did you think of the new Across the Spider-Verse trailer?
Not interested.
Not interested?
I didn't like the first film. I think that is incredibly overhyped. One, there's only one Spider-Man. His name is Peter Parker. He's from Universe 616, or I'd rather just say the only universe, but they got to number them. And it just, I know they were trying to go for a stylized form of animation. I didn't care for the 5.5 FPS animation personally. It didn't do it for me. Miles is not an interesting character, and I don't care about any of the other not Spider-Man characters. So another movie that has a ton of not Spider-Man characters isn't going to make me interested.
Fair. I was impressed with the trailer because I was very much opposed to Into the Spider-Verse to the point where I was like, oh, fuck that movie. I'll never watch it. And I didn't watch it until it hit Netflix. I saw it the same day I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, just to give people context to how far it was from the release. So I was really late to the party on that one, and I too dislike Miles Morales to the point where I don't have the new game because he's in it, not Peter Parker. But there was something about the film that got me, and what it was too is that it made it be known that like our real Spider-Man is always going to be a part of the lore. He's like Obi-Wan Kenobi. And so I would rather watch him in a movie. I would love to watch a cartoon Spider-Man movie. Just like basically make it look like a comic book come to life, or not come to life, but make it look like a moving comic book. Because we've never really had that one-to-one. A lot of the DC stuff is on a TV budget. Imagine a movie that's going to be hand-drawn to make it look like a comic book. That's going to be crazy. Maybe we'll get that one day. But I enjoyed what I saw. I will probably go see that one close to when it gets released. But it's not my favorite Spider-Man, and it never has been, and it never will be. But, you know, I'm glad it's out there. And
I'll say this, in the trailer they do show MJ and Peter's and their daughter Anna Mae Parker, so Spinneret and Spiderling from the Renew Your Vows storyline, which is a different universe 18662 or something like that. It's in like the 1800s.
Are you calling for pizza?
No, but don't start making me hungry. I would watch a animated movie that was Renew Your Vows. I would watch that.
Doesn't he fight?
Because that's a fantastic storyline. Yes, actually, they fight him as a family.
That's the kind of movie that would probably make a bunch of money.
That would make a shit ton of money. Yeah,
you got Spider-Man for everyone. You got, I guess, the newer girl character for the people that don't like Spider-Man. All 7 of you, like, yeah,
all 7 of you on the planet.
Spider-Man is the most popular superhero. He's past Batman. He's past Superman. He's past everybody. Because everyone's like, well, no, Batman. No, Batman may be bigger in America, but I still would fight that. I'd say Spider-Man's America's biggest superhero. But Spider-Man has this global appeal. Like, he's always... And Stan Lee has said it. I know people like to get mad at Marvel or whatever, but 20 years ago, Stan Lee was in an interview with Kevin Smith talking about the appeal of Spider-Man, and he said flat out it's because his suit, he's fully covered in his costume, and anyone can imagine it's him underneath it. And I think
people like to take that people like to take that quote out of context a lot too. People like to think that people, especially on Twitter or on Reddit, like to take that as meaning anybody can be Spider-Man. No, that means anybody can just universally pretend that they're in the suit. It's not the same
because
thing. They
don't know the second part of the quote.
Yeah.
Where he goes, he could be black, he could be Asian. He says Asian in a really funny way. But he's like, he could be anybody. That's he goes on to say, like, anybody could be in the suit when you imagine yourself in there. Like, you could, anybody. Like, yeah, there's something to be said about that. And I also think, too, Spider-Man accidentally looks like a luchador. Spider-Man accidentally looks like Japanese-inspired characters. I think Spider-Man just naturally appeals to everybody because the design is great. Better than the Batman costume, better than the Superman costume. Spider-Man, literally the first costume is the one he still uses. Like, if you take off the armpit webbing, there's no difference. Oh, but Jeff, the first spider's blue on the back. Is it though, or is that a printing error because the reprints fix the color of the back spider? And I'm holding an action figure based on his first appearance. Outside of the suit being black and red, which is meant to dictate a shading pattern, not the actual color, depending on how you look at it, it hasn't changed to fucking all. Like, there's something to be said about the power of, like, a good design. You don't need to refine it if it's perfect in the beginning.
Yeah, it's true. Peter has a ton of suits. I think the only person that has more suits than him is, like, Tony Stark in the Marvel Universe. But he always goes back to Old Faithful.
It works. Everybody likes that suit.
It's perfect.
That's why they had to go back to it for the damn movies.
Yeah, finally. It only took them, like, in 5.5 movies.
Yeah, but the other day I was looking at something from the original No Way Home or Homecoming suit, the main suit that he gets from Stark, and I'm like, that suit was almost damn good. If they would have made a couple alterations in my eyes for the design, like got rid of the black
those stupid black lines.
Yeah. Other than that, it was perfect. I was there on board.
I didn't like that it didn't seem detailed enough. Like in live action, I feel like you need to have a little bit more detailing. I just wound up, and I know you hate these movies, but I mentioned earlier that I was spending like 5 days with my parents, and their Blu-ray player went out, and so my dad and I went up to Best Buy. We grabbed a new 4K Blu-ray player, and said, may as well upgrade if you're doing it, and grabbed Spider-Man movies on 4K. and watched both Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 on 4K. Now, however you guys in the chat, or Jeff, however you feel about those films is relevant, because what you cannot criticize is how good they look in 4K. The detailing that you see in 4K on a good TV in those films is disgusting.
How
in
does the
every
scene,
single frame.
How does the scene in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 look when he fights Electro?
You talking about the one at the end?
Yeah.
Dude, I needed to change my pants.
Because see, look, you know how I feel, but I gotta be honest. Those scenes, that's where Sony put all the effort. It was
Well, that's one of the
those
reasons why the
looks.
movie's profit wasn't very high. Because if you factor in inflation, those movies made a shit ton of money. The problem is their budget that they dumped into them on the CG was gross, because the CG, especially watching them in 4K, you realize holds up better now than anything the MCU has done past or present. It's pretty ridiculous, actually, because the movie's the most recent one is almost 10 years old at this point. And so it was just wild to me. And something that they do really well that none of the other Spider-Man films have done is the movement. The movement of Peter in that suit is spot on. How he fights, how he swings, everything looks like it was ripped right off the page. Like they took a bunch of panels, sequential panels, and were like, okay, this is how he transitions from here to here to here, up there, down there. And it just, the swinging is just so good looking. And that scene at the end of the second one, when he's fighting Electro, and they'll like slow down for a couple of seconds and he's twisting in the air, you know, like, and doing all sorts of crazy shit. Dude, it looks freaking wild. It looks absolutely stunning.
I was at Thanksgiving in Philadelphia, and Jesse's family, for some reason, had Spider-Man on. It was on TV, and they're all like, yeah, Spider-Man! Like, I'm used to, when that movie came out, people in my school were like, oh, Spider-Man's lame, Spider-Man's gay, Spider-Man's this. I'm like, all right, well, I went and saw it.
Yeah, when people said that, I was like, you're lame and gay.
It was a different era, though. And so I was kind of conditioned to think, like, nobody but nerds liked these superhero movies from a certain era. And then I keep forgetting, it was in the Guinness Book of World Records. Like, people watched this fucking movie. And so it was so nice to watch it again with an audience. But the thing I noticed is, like, that final swing in that first movie is so influenced by The Matrix. It's funny. Like, I keep forgetting how impactful The Matrix is.
Yep.
And it, you know, it's a great shot. My only critique of the stuff that you're talking about is they made it a little too realistic. I don't like seeing the wind make Spider-Man's suit ripple in the opening shot of Amazing Spider-Man 2. And it's like,
I guess that's a fair criticism. I can't like argue with it. It doesn't bother me, but if it's something that would bother you, I can't say no. That shouldn't bother you.
I'll admit it's a bullshit criticism. I just was like, it's too realistic. It's almost like in the I know it's not Uncanny Valley because it's a different thing, but it, like, I don't know, man. Just seeing him like come at you with like the suit rippling and this and that, I was like, it's just so weird to me. But you know what it is? It's like when I first saw Tobey Maguire play Spider-Man. It was weird to me that Spider-Man would go woohoo as he swings around. My first time watching that movie, I'm like, Spider-Man doesn't scream when he swings. What is this? And then I'm like, he also just kissed the woman of saved the woman of his dreams, and he's a nerd, so he's ecstatic.
Yeah.
Such a good. That's a great movie.
That's a fantastic movie. I can watch those first two Raimi films on repeat. No question about it.
I watched the train scene. If you want to see talk about a nice scene in 4K, that train scene.
I need to see that scene in 4K still. What are those films on Amazon right now?
I like how we're nerded out about Spider-Man movies, but you know what? They're great. They were awesome back in the day.
No, you're not kidding, man. You are not kidding at all.
So, let's move on to talk about Avatar. Folks, we're going to save a lot of the Avatar stuff for this week's podcast because, you know, the guys and I have been talking about it for years. So we figure it'd be a nice way to close out everything as the film is about to be released. So be on the lookout for that. But I wanted to talk about with you briefly how the reviews are coming in, and there are some scathing ones. I don't mean like, oh, 5 out of 10, this is bad. One website gave it a half star out of 5 and called it like dog shit. Even The Guardian, which I think is a bullshit publication, gave it a 2 out of 5. Or sorry, yeah, 2 out of 5. Like, I'm happy to see that Avatar, there's a range of positive reviews and garbage reviews. It's like, to me, that's the sign of honest reviewing, because no film is above criticism. Nothing. I love Star Wars. There are scenes in Star Wars I could say, or whatever, or there's nothing perfect about anything. And that's what makes it great. The imperfections, I can see a matte line, or, I can see the wire that pulls up John McClane or something. Like, who gives a shit? It's the fucking greatest action movie ever made. But again, nothing is above criticism. And so when I see Avatar get raked across the coals versus it being praised to high heaven, I feel good. I feel good that there's some honesty in the world. That being said, though, I don't think you had a chance to watch my video, dude, but I read a review from the High Def Digital Digest. They're the ones that gave it a half star. It is so funny. Basically, this movie has 30 minutes of plot, stretched over 3 hours. And I'm trying not to spoil certain things, which I'll talk about on the show on Thursday, because I want to respect the audience. You guys, if you want to see Avatar, I want to give you guys the opportunity to see certain things without me spoiling it. I will save those for Thursday and give you guys ample time. But just the sheer disappointment of what I've read, well, basically what I've read, even a guy like me who's like, Avatar's whatever, even I'm disappointed by the lack of, like, James Cameron's effort. It's been 13 years, bro. I thought you would at least have delivered a little better.
That bad.
Now, are you into Avatar at all? Like, are you gonna go see this one?
I saw the first one in theaters, I want to say twice. I saw it once with my dad and once with my bestie, and I had a good time both times, because it was kind of breaking technology. You know, it was a breakthrough in a lot of visual fidelity. It did a lot of cool things visually. The story I was never like in love with. I was like, okay, I mean, this is the story is a little skin deep. It's a little like, I don't know, Greenpeace, like tree hugging. Okay, whatever. But I get it because they're drawing on various things, various cultures. So it's not like I don't understand where some of that inspiration came from. But the story itself was just kind of like, okay, so the story existed kind of on some sort of surface level. It was visually entertaining. I like Sigourney Weaver. I like Zoe Saldana. Shit, I even like Sam Worthington, even though he plays kind of the same character in every movie. Because he doesn't have that much of an acting range. It's not that he's a bad actor. I think he just doesn't have much of a range. He's typecast for a reason, because that's kind of that's his sweet spot of where he lives. This next one, I'm sure, is going to be a visual masterpiece, but I'm not interested enough to be like hyped for it. I'm like, James Cameron, if you wanted me to really care about this movie, it should have come out like 12 years ago. That first one came out like right after I graduated high school, or not too far after. I think it might have been like 2000. It was like 2009, actually. So I had been out of high school for 2 years. And it came out. I was like, oh, this is really cool. Because at that point we hadn't had many movies that relied on, crazy CG like that. But now, as opposed to it being, big fish in a little pond, it's big fish in even bigger pond that everybody else is using the same shit. Everyone's blowing the same bubbles. Your bubbles aren't impressive. Like,
no, because Avatar Way of the Water looks like Star Wars episodes 7 through 9, looks like the Avengers, looks like Justice League, looks like literally anything. We're at a point in technology where there's an app out there and plugins for your computer where you can basically put yourself in a destruction scene in a movie. And there's like pre-rendered effects and stuff. Like, we're getting to the point where like no budget movies are going to be able to do compelling effects and tell these big stories.
Yeah.
And when you put a couple $100 million, when you need to make $2 billion to break even on your your wet dream fantasy film that's essentially Star Trek meets Free Willy that meets Happy Days. Like, expect people to be thoroughly disappointed because, dude, I love the Fonz. Henry
The
Winkler,
Fonz is the man.
Dude, I met him once. He was so
Did
nice.
You? Oh,
yeah.
That's so cool.
I was so when I was working my first convention, it was Cincinnati Comic Expo 2014. He was a guest, and this is downtown Cincinnati where they host it. And so I was excited because I had worked only one other show. 2014 was the year I graduated college, and I figured out my shit. I was like, I'm going to do art shows. I'm going to work the circuit. So I did. I had worked my first one. It was a success. The second one was in Cincinnati. And so I had a little crew of guys, friends that would come and help me work these shows. They still do, actually. This is before WCVS even existed. And so we went out to dinner, and we're walking down the street, and we see Henry Winkler. And we're like, oh, dude. And he like looks at us and we go, hey. And he like comes over and talks and cool. But flip side of that, Lou Ferrigno was not a nice guy. Unless you were paying for his autograph, he did not want to be bothered. So,
original Hulk.
Yeah, original Hulk. I was a little disappointed at him. But, you know,
That's a
to each his own.
That's a bummer. That's the danger when you try and meet your heroes.
Or you run into him on the street.
Yeah, exactly. That too. That's cool that the Fonz was cool though. I'm glad to hear that. He was always my favorite character on Happy Days. I always thought that Ron Howard's character was a fucking dweeb.
Oh, Richie Cunningham's whatever. That's why that show lasted so long without Richie.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go, folks. This was your 1970s television show talk. If you like the Waltons. Huh. Oh, here's a quick teaser. Andrew, you'll appreciate this too. So I have a good friend, Enrique. He and his wife came up for the holiday stuff that we wanted to go do. And he's like, hey, I want to take you somewhere. So he took me to this museum exhibit. They had the screen-used DeLorean from Back to the Future. They had the screen-used Ecto-1. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And folks, I filmed it all, and I'm going to put it on Patreon. It's going to be one of the higher tiers because this is going to be a mini documentary. You're going to get to see the screen-used Back to the Future props like Gray's Sports Almanac. I have all the pictures of Marty. You remember the disappearing photo of Marty?
Yeah.
They had every single one and an explanation of how the effect was done. They had Mr. Fusion. You could go up and touch Mr. Fusion. They had him sitting out there. It was awesome, folks. They had the actual jacket, not the orange vest, but they had Marty's outfit, the jacket and the jeans. They had Jennifer's clothes. They had all sorts of wonderful stuff. And I got that filmed in glorious high definition for each of you guys out there. So if you want to join our Patreon page, it's a couple bucks a month, but you're going to get that documentary before the end of the year. Hopefully I'm gonna get that out before Christmas. And yeah, it's awesome, guys. You're gonna see Ecto-1. You're gonna see the car from Smokey and the Bandit. There's all kinds of stuff about the DeLorean. They have other screen use props. Oh, and the coolest part is the basement is all kinds of horror stuff. And then I don't mean just like, oh yeah, they got like a picture of Michael Myers. No, they got like the screen used outfits from Van Helsing or all the real zombie shit from The Walking Dead. Like all of it, all the screen use stuff. It's one of the coolest parts about living out here. You don't have some traveling exhibit of copycats. It's the real deal. They had Adam West's Batman suit. They had all kinds of stuff.
I've actually
dedicated to that
seen
show.
that because was it 2019? Yeah, I went to SDCC in 2019, and one of the final days, there was a little ways off, there was a museum that had a Batman exhibit because it was the anniversary. And so they had this huge history of Batman set up, and they had the actual props, every single one of the movies. I got to see the Batmobiles, got to see like framed copies of like original prints of certain like milestone comic books, the bat suits, batarangs, all of it. And it was the coolest freaking thing. It was definitely my favorite part about that trip. Batman's like, I love Batman, but Batman's not like my DC hero. But that was just cool as hell to check out. I'll have to shoot you some. I'm pretty sure I still have those photos on my phone.
Dude,
either that or
please
just
do
uploaded them to Instagram, and I'll have to just shoot them to you.
You know, while we're on the topic of seeing original stuff, it is on my bucket list to go to the Library of Congress and see the amazing fantasy art. Did you ever hear that story?
No.
you know, Spider-Man's my favorite, obviously. And when this story came out a couple years ago, I had the biggest smile on my face. An anonymous donor donated the original Amazing Fantasy art to the Library of Congress. The only comic book art that is deemed crucial to America is Amazing Fantasy 15. Now, it was assumed that Stan Lee himself gave it, and he had said, I never did it. But it's also assumed that it could be either Ditko or somebody else, but like the full thing just showed up at the Library of Congress a couple years back. And it was neat too, because they showed you like that the art was different initially, how the different Spider-Man logo, how they pasted over it and stuff. So, you know, talking about traveling exhibits, that is my bucket list #1 thing to do, is to see the original Amazing Fantasy art at the Library of Congress. That would be so fucking cool.
That is freaking cool.
Spider-Man. More impactful to my life than I realize.
Yeah,
so,
you're not kidding.
Yeah, I love Spidey. I was about to say I think I'll draw a picture of him when I'm done, but I've probably drawn Spider-Man today. No, I didn't today. Normally, what I do is I warm up and like I'll draw anatomy and like weird poses and stuff. And every once in a while,
Spider-Man's a good character for that.
I got this book called Masters of Anatomy. It's like 1,000 pages. No, sorry, I misspoke. This one's 664 pages. But what it is it's just literally a book of fight scenes and anatomy. And it's just to show you how the body works. It's probably the most boring shit for other people, but for me, it's fascinating. And every day I draw something from here. And most of the time, I'll be like, all right, I'm going to put some eyes and some webbing. And now Spider-Man's fighting this chick or whatever. So
nice.
I love Spidey. Yeah. So, let's check in with the audience. I think we might have we hit everything so far? No, that's not possible, is it?
I mean, we touched on the DC stuff in general. We handled Patty Jenkins. We talked about the Avatar Way of the Water that nobody's particularly hyped for. I mean, there was that talk of Patty Jenkins. You know, she's off of Rogue Squadron now as well, but we kind of looped that already in. Yeah, I mean, shit.
So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna play to the old adage of always leave them wanting more, and we're gonna close this stream out a little early. So folks, thank you for watching. Go to shopwcbs.com to get a WCBS t-shirt, and this is a Stealing Solo hat. I am not copying Tim Pool. I just, branded myself out. But Tits and Art, it's here. It's a big book. This is 11 by 17, folks. It's got a lot of cool stuff inside. Can't really share it on air because, the content of the book, but I will show one page that I can share. I'm particularly proud of this one. I've shared it a bunch in person or online, but yeah, here is the Tianator. So this is a coffee table size book. If you know me, I'm taller than you, and so this book is massive even to me. So get yourselves a copy, folks. It's only $20, and yeah, they're here. I'm excited and I'm proud. So Jeff Poole was right. Thank you. Let me turn off the camera before people turn that into a meme. If you're gonna turn me into a meme, just let me get the Hugh Jeffner hat and the jacket. We'll do it that way. So I had a great time, but yeah, folks, I think we're going to close this out so I can take care of some other business and leave you wanting more. So join us on Thursday night for WCBS episode 336. This week, we're going to make fun of the James Cameron stuff. We're going to be covering all the week's news and a whole lot more. Thank you, Damn Tory for that compliment. Shrebbles08 says, I'll take a Joe Rogan highest fuck and a Die Hard button, please. All right, no problem. So let me get those all queued up. Folks, if you have any requests for buttons, now is your time. So first off, we have a Joe Rogan high as fuck. And as we always say here on the channel, folks, ask and ye shall receive.
Imagine if you gave a white supremacist 5-MeO DMT, and then as the first one, as they're exhaling,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What a rush!
I never get tired of that last image of Joe Rogan. And since it's the holiday season, as they say, it's the season of miracles.
Glass? Who gives a shit about Glass? Who the fuck is this?
This is Deputy Chief of Police Dwayne T. Robinson, and I am in charge of this situation.
Oh, you're in charge. Well, I got some bad news for you, Dwayne. I'm not the one who just got butt-fucked on national TV, Dwayne.
It's a great line.
It is a great line. Die Hard is, like I said, third favorite movie, folks, of all time. I'm gonna try to coordinate a schedule with the guys and do a drunk commentary before Christmas. So just trying to, like I said, coordinate everything. Kendo's a new father this year. A lot of things have happened and changed behind the scenes. But we're here each and every week to give you guys WCBS and the videos and all sorts of wonderful things, including the books and more. So be on the lookout for and more, because there's a lot of it coming. Like I always say, folks, we're just getting started with everything. Okay, we have more requests. TLJ Screwjob. All right, folks, this one's usually loud, so be prepared. Yeah.
You're probably able to get away with that one because it's literally just that audio, right?
Yeah. What's the WWE gonna know? We know that breathing.
Fuck off. Yeah, shut up, Vince. You've outlived your usefulness. Piss off.
There was a rumor that he might come back, and I'm like, please, dear God, don't come back, Vince. Wrestling is actually enjoyable. Fuck you. Triple H for the win. Now, if
the game understands what's best for business,
he knows what's up, man. I gotta say, for all the politicking and bullshit he did behind the scenes that you hear about, the dude knows how to produce the content, and I don't trust anyone as much as I trust Triple H to make a decent wrestling show these days. Yeah, I said it. And I like AEW, but Tony Khan, he gets so fucking close, and then something stupid happens. Like, I'm on board the MJF train. That dude's great. Legitimately a fucking classic heel in the making. But don't get me started on half the other bullshit in AEW. I don't watch it that much anymore because it's been... Fuck the Young Bucks and half of those guys there. Sorry. I'm going on a tangent. Join us Thursday for that tangent, because we're going to lament the fact that we can't have this wrestler appear.
Sad.
Sad is right. But, folks, thank you for watching. We'll be back next time with more. I'm going to have some more videos on the way, and we're going to be getting close to another milestone here on the channel. So be on the lookout for when we celebrate that in the next couple of days. So from all of us here at World Class Bullshitters, thank you for watching. Andrew, anything else you want to say before we go?
Nope. Chat, you've all been amazing. We appreciate you hanging out for some cape shit. We will catch you in the next one.
Yes, we will, folks. Join us next week when the Dark Council will be joining us. And in the meantime, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other. Now I gotta find a way to get out of here without Kendo and the boys. It makes no sense. Oh yeah, let's just press this for the hell of it.